Officer, always at the end of shift. I'm a few beers deep and can't sleep. It's not this call in particular that is keeping me up. Maybe it's a culmination of everything I've seen over the last few years. Maybe it's a goofy sleep schedule. Ultimately, who's to know? I was so excited. 30 minutes until my shift was over and I get to head down to the Indy 500 for a long Memorial Day weekend with my buddies. Beers, camping, racing, playing cards. It was going to be so much fun. I was literally going home to get 4 hours of sleep before I met up with my partner to start pulling the trailer down across 2 states. We were all in the squad room recounting the night's shenanigans. What the crackhead said that was funny as hell. The dumb wisecracks from the salty guy close to retirement. The antics of the drunk who decided my backseat was a fine urinal. From behind the laughter I heard dispatch, barely audible over the laughs, asking for units for an unresponsive baby. I'm always first out the door for those. Sometimes I think I'd be a better firefighter or paramedic than a cop. They get to save people, right? People love them. No such song as fuck the fire department in quad. As I'm hitting my patrol car, my vest isn't even fully velcroed. Next thing I know, I'm doing 120 down a major interstate because it's the fastest way to the neighborhood I need to be at. When I say I need to be there, I needed to be there faster. My car couldn't go fast enough. Looks like we're now at 130. I was bitching at the patrol car for being too slow, asking why can't it please go faster, just this once. I don't care about the flutter and shaking in the front end. Early morning traffic wasn't getting out of my way and I'm getting more frustrated as the seconds go by. I'm off the highway hitting the neighborhood entry at 90. Of course, the street I need to be on is at the ass end of this neighborhood. As I'm flying past streets, I'm having flashbacks to the shootings and homicides I've taken mere feet away. Looks a lot different at 80 than when you're on scene staring at the guy who got killed in a drive-by a few weeks ago. A few turns later, I'm first on scene pulling up to the house. 2 things stand out. A car taking off at a high rate of speed and a child no older than 8 standing in the doorway of the caller's house. I decide that this 3-week-old who is not responsive is more important than the car. I run up to the doorway and ask the child where the baby is. He gives me the most scared look I have ever seen from anybody. It immediately burned into my mind. The confusion, the shock, the screams of his mother. But he did his job and he did it damn well. He got me into the house. All he can do is point to the back of the house. I run back and see his mother's room with her screaming inside. I see one of the smallest babies I've ever seen laying on the bed. Even through his dark complexion I can tell he's blue. I move the mother aside and begin to check for a pulse. None. Fuck. Babies are supposed to be warm, right? Why isn't this one? As I'm doing my best to remember infant CPR from the academy years ago, I'm radioing dispatch for the ambulance to expedite and beginning CPR with my thumbs. I'm no more than 10 compressions in when I hear another unit's radio going off. The mother is grabbing the back of my vest screaming in my ear, "My baby. Save my baby!" in quad. Her hands are gripped around my external carrier's rescue loop, pulling me away from her baby. It's not on purpose. There was no please in her voice. It wasn't a request. It was an order. That too is burned into my mind. I still hear it. As I'm turning the baby over for back blows, I look over my shoulder and see the other units coming into the room. I tell him to go to my car and grab my one-way CPR valve. We're all issued them, but we never use them. Except now. Babies are special. I need it now. He runs off and the paramedics are on scene. I yell, "Get me the oxygen going!" in quad. This baby needs all the oxygen his little tiny lungs can handle. I don't know why, but oxygen was the one thing on my mind. Maybe oxygen can do more than me. A mere element, a molecule, I don't know. I was never great at science, but whatever oxygen is, it was going to be more of a savior than my CPR could ever be at the time. At least in my mind. I turn the baby over to paramedics and I'm given the look. If you've been a cop long enough, you know the look. The hopeless, helpless, solemn stare. The paramedics and I know something the mother doesn't, and that lack of limited shared knowledge kills me. This baby is no longer of this world. Paramedics decide a load and go is the best option, even if only for optics. It gives us, and the poor mother, a glimmer of hope. A hospital fixes people, right? Maybe we'll have a miracle. We need one. I tell the paramedics I will lead block for them and we're flying out of the neighborhood at 65. Why can't that damn boxy vehicle go faster? Back on the highway, this time the other way, back where I came from. Past my exit. Next one is where the hospital is. Fuck morning traffic. Don't these people know I have a baby and need right behind me? Of course they don't. The most important thing to them is hitting Starbucks before their 9 to 5. Once off the exit ramp, I'm a half mile ahead of the ambulance. This is now my intersection. I'm shutting it down. Don't you see the red and blues, asshole? I run this, not you. Fucking stop your car. You can wait 30 seconds for your Dunkin' Donuts. Ambulance clears my intersection. 3 more to go. I clear another and the rest are picked up by other units. Finally we're at the hospital. I pull up behind the ambulance, my light's still on. Screw it, they can stay on. I rush in with paramedics. We're met by what seems like half the hospital at the doors. Right into the trauma room. Keep the door open, we'll grab a partition sheet. People need in and out and a door slows everybody down. Once at the trauma room I feel helpless. This is out of my hands now. I did my job but I still feel like there's so much more I could do. The doctor's look pisses me off. Why isn't he doing more? Why is he so calm? Then it hits me. Just as I'm calm and collected in a pursuit or de-escalating a drunk who wants to fight, he's calm in the room. It's his job. And he's doing a damn fine job. 35 minutes later it's called. Life-saving measures were taken but the baby was too far gone for any of us to have made any meaningful impact. Tired, defeated, and already sending a text to my fiancée that it's been a bad night and I'm going to be late from an already 16-hour long shift. I see the paramedics in the ambulance. The paramedic I've seen on countless shifts. Always smart. Always calming. She's sobbing in the back of the rig. I hop in and she looks up. As she does I see her work ID. Why did I never know she shares the same first name as my mother? She said to me in the saddest voice that she knows the mother's pain. How could she? Because she's had a baby die too, that's why.
What do I, a mid-20s male, know about a mother's pain of losing their baby?
Fucking nothing. All I could think to do is hug her and keep telling her she did so great. So great. She worked through her own pain until it was no longer her job to do so. That's a hero. At this point my sergeant was on scene and needed information. I gave him what he needed and I was pulled aside from others. He asked if I was okay. Was I? Of course not, but I said I was. After all, I'm a hard motherfucker, right? Always ready to get scrappy, always ready to back up my boys, right? I wasn't today though, but pretended I was. I was relieved of my duty and told to go home. I've done my share and he's proud of me for handling things how I did. When I get to my patrol car I get asked by a coworker, "You good?" and quat. Maybe it was the head shaking as I walked. Maybe it was the wet cheeks I had. Maybe it was me throwing my hat to the ground. Maybe it was me crouching next to my patrol car in the ambulance bay with a blank stare, hands clasped under my chin. I answered with a "Yeah man, this shit just fucking sucks." It was a fucking 3-week-old baby. But, thanks for blocking traffic for us. And quat. He nods and walks away. I can squat here for a few more seconds before my legs start to hurt. I need these next few seconds to think. Watch the sun rising, I tell myself. You've always loved watching the sun rise, especially from a duck blind. Think of that. Think of that mountain sunrise from Philmont. Think of those deer camp tree stand sunrises. No more thinking of this and quat. But of course I do. Who wouldn't? At this point I hear my phone go off and look at a text from my fiancée. "I'm so sorry. Please drive home safe when you can," and quat. I tell her I will. I go back to the station and day shift wants the details. They don't get them. They can ask someone else. I'm not in the mood. Fucking day shift. I go home and it's all I can think about until I finally pass out. I wake up and it's time to go to meet my partner for our trip. The other guys are meeting us in Indy about 5 hours after our scheduled arrival. I get to his house and he doesn't bring it up. "Throw your gear in the trailer. Floor is fine," he says. He doesn't need to bring it up. He was there, just a bit slower than me on the arrival. Eventually it gets brought up on the 5-hour drive and we talk long and hard about it. He smokes cigarettes off duty. I don't. But you can damn sure bet that I did on that ride down to Indy. I wanted the buzz. I wanted the burn in my throat. I always loved the taste of menthols, even if I was only ever a drunk cigarette guy. Those talks we had driving stuck with me. This was not my first dead child call, as unfortunate as it is. But our talk stuck with me. I learned a lot. Heard his stories. He heard mine. He is older than me, has more experience, and is in a few specialty roles at the agency. A mentor to me at one point and now a partner. Now we both are mentors to new guys and in similar specialty roles. I found out a few weeks later that the baby was rolled over on in its sleep. All because mom was a drunk and couldn't wake up. I knew I smelled alcohol on her when she was yelling in my ear. Probably why the baby was so small too. Probably why I ran into the kid that held the door open for me again 7 months later when he threatened to shoot up his school. He was no longer living with his drunk mother. She was forced to give up all parental rights. He was a ward of the state and knew nothing other than anger and sadness and wanted attention. So he threatened to shoot up his 3rd grade class. It's been almost a year and we have another Indy trip planned. I'm excited again, but I just hope that we don't have another call like that this year. It's been a rough couple of years. For everyone. There is no happy ending to this story. A broken woman, a broken family, and multiple broken hearts. It's a story I've seen 100 times and I'll see it a few thousand more before I'm retired. It'll hurt every time, but I guess this is why I get paid. I'm the hero, I'm the devil, I'm the asshole, I'm the knight in shining armor. Guess it just depends on who's asking.